to my channel. Thank you so much for subscribing, for commenting, for liking, and for all your support on this channel. Thank you so much. And if it's your first time, welcome to my channel, and do not forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed. So welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. We're back again, and I'm gonna try and do these every week again like I used to. And today I just want to share with you practical tips on how to help the poor. Sometimes we feel that we need to be rich and we need to be millionaires for us to begin to really be a blessing to those that have nothing, being a blessing to those that are poor. And you can still be broke and yet be somebody who is a blessing to those who are poor, because being broke and being poor are two different things. You see, being broke does not necessarily mean that you are poor. When you're broke, it means that maybe you are in debt. It means that you're not financially free. But you can still be broke and yet have the things that you need, have food to eat, have a place to stay. So you can be broke and still be in the standard where you have your needs met. But there are people today who are living below society's standard, whereby they don't have any food to eat. They are worried about what they're going to eat tomorrow. They don't have a place to stay. They don't have access to basic needs. So some of you are broke, but you have a lot of access to basic needs. But there are people who are poor, people who are living in poverty, who don't have access to the basic needs that you have today. And you know, being broke is something that is actually temporary, but poverty can be a lifetime. Poverty is not exactly temporary. There are a lot of people who are born into poverty and they die in poverty. So today I just want to encourage some of you today who maybe are thinking, I need to be a millionaire first before I can be a blessing to those who are poor. I need to be rich before I can start to help the poor. You don't have to be rich to be somebody who considers the poor. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to have 100,000 in your account to be, in order for you to begin to be a blessing to the poor. So I just want to encourage you with this video to start being a blessing. Even if you're broke, even if you are in debt, there are ways that you can still be a blessing, and I'm going to share those tips. So keep watching. You see, helping the poor is not something that you're told to do. It's not something that you wait to be asked to do. This is something that actually comes from the heart. It's a posture of the heart. It's a burning within. You are burning within to help somebody who's less fortunate. It begins to be a desire and a burning in your heart to help the poor that your circumstances do not dictate. Maybe you're broke. Maybe you are in debt. Personally, I am in debt because I owe student loans. I don't have any properties of my own. I'm paying rent, I pay bills. Unless somebody decides to bless me with £1 million today, then maybe I'll be considered physically as somebody who's rich. Because you might think, oh, Daphne is rich, so she can't tell me what to do. But I'm in the same category as you today. You know, when you read through all the Bible, it tells us about helping the poor. The Bible encourages us from Genesis to Revelations on how to help the poor. And if I could read all the scriptures, I'll probably be here for a few hours. So I'm just going to share with you one scripture that I particularly love about helping the poor. And that's in the book of Psalm chapter 41 verse 1 to 3, which says, "Blessed is he who considers the poor. The Lord will deliver him in the time of trouble. The Lord will preserve him and keep him alive, and he will be blessed on the earth. You will not deliver him to the will of his enemies. The Lord will strengthen him on his bed of illness. You will sustain him on his sick bed." Amen. So the Bible is telling us that the person who considers the poor is actually blessed. Some of you think that in order to be blessed, you need to be rich. But the Bible is actually telling us that regardless of your financial situation, regardless of your circumstances, as long as you consider the poor, you are blessed. And this is what the Lord will do for you. The Lord will deliver you in your time of trouble. See, some of you are waiting to do warfare prayers when you're in the time of trouble. But the Bible is telling us that deliverance is actually going to come when you consider helping the poor. There's a deliverance that comes when you begin to consider the poor. The Lord will preserve you. He will keep you alive. And you know, these scriptures are not just for Christians. This is for everybody. And the first tip is you need to be the accountant of your finances. See, this is very important. You need to know exactly what comes in and what goes out. Because if you don't know what goes in and what comes out, that means you're not in a position to budget. You're not in a position to be a smart spender. We need to be our own financial accountants. You don't have to wait for somebody else to manage your finances. And I can set up a draft for some of you who maybe want to start today to manage your finances. I can do a draft. If you go to my blog right now, I've put up a draft that you can copy and you can start to use today. So for me, I budget everything. So anything that comes in down to the penny, I make a record of it. Anything that goes out down to the penny, I make a record of it. And I have a monthly record. And by the end of the month, I know exactly what's coming in, what's going out. And this is very crucial. I'm going to get to how you can start helping the poor. But the first foundation is knowing what goes in and what comes out so that you can begin to budget. And this is important if you want to be somebody who is a continual blessing to those who are poor. Somebody who just doesn't bless people today and then maybe in the next 2 months and then maybe in the next year. If you want to be somebody who's going to be a continual blessing in other people's lives, people who are poor, somebody who's going to continually consider the poor, then it's very important that you have a record of all your finances, what goes in and what comes out, all your budgets. It's very important. The next tip is to plan how much you are willing to give. So yes, you might have bills, yes, you might be owing some money that you need to pay, but I'm sure you have a budget for that and you pay a monthly fee or you pay a monthly amount. You can do the same in all other areas of your life. So for example, all the money that I get in, I give 10% tithe. And I also give 10% offering. And then with another 10%, I save that. And then another 10% is what I use to help the poor. So I'm left with 60%. And then I live on that 60%. So from that 60%, I pay my bills. From that 60%, I pay all the debts that I owe. And from that 60%, I everything that I need to pay. So if somebody buys one of my books today, maybe it costs $9.99. From that $9.99, I would make a record of that $9.99. And then from that $9.99, I take my 10% off, which is £1 for tithe. I take another 10% off, which is £1 for the offering. And sometimes with the offering, I am led to give a little bit more. So if I'm led to give maybe £2, then I take off £2. Then another £1 I take off and I put in my savings account. Then another £1 I put that on the side to help the poor. So unless you know what's going in and what's coming out, you won't be in a position to do that. This is why it's very important from the beginning to know what's going in and what's coming out so that you can also budget to help the poor. And you know, yes, some people go outside and maybe they see a beggar and they just take whatever they have in their purse and they give. We are called to do more than that. You're not called to wait for somebody to ask you and to beg you. You're called to go out there and find places and areas in your community, places and areas in your country, places and areas in your continent, places and areas in this world where people are in need. We need to have a mindset to go out there and see where people are in need and help those people. And when you begin to do this, you find satisfaction in your heart. You find satisfaction in your mind. You just have a fulfillment and you just feel like this is what life is all about. This is what life is all about, helping those that don't have food. I have food. I have a place to eat. But there's somebody who doesn't have an education. There's somebody who's wishing they could go to school. There's somebody who's wondering what they're going to eat tomorrow. There's somebody who's wondering where they're going to sleep tomorrow. There's a lot of people who are in need today. People who are in worse positions than you. You know, some of us, when we eat food, maybe we throw some of it in the bin. There are people who are going in those bins and they're looking for food to eat. So you can be in that position, you know, regardless of how much you earn. Maybe you earn only £500 a month. Maybe you earn only maybe £1,000 a month. But from that £1,000, you can take off 10%. And it doesn't have to be 10%. It can be even 5%, whatever that you purpose in your heart. I purpose to give 10%. You can give 5%. You can give 2%. Just be a blessing. Choose a percentage. Choose an amount that every month I want to do this for the poor. These are the tips, guys. You don't have to be rich to be a blessing. Just be somebody who is financially accountable. Be the accountant of your finances, especially women. Women, if you're watching this video, if you're not yet married, it's very important, not only concerning helping the poor, but it's important to be somebody who's financially accountable so that in the future you can manage your family's finances or your husband's finances. It's very important as women to be able to be accountable, to be able to be smart financially, to be able to know what's going in and what's coming out, to be able to budget. So these are the tips, guys. I hope that they can help you. I hope today that you can start to be a blessing, so that you can see the blessing of the Lord upon your life, and the Lord will begin to bless you, and you'll begin to be a blessing, and the Lord will even begin to open doors so that you can give more. You know, I wish I could give more. I wish I could do more, but being a blessing doesn't require you to be rich. You can give as little as you have today. And I really encourage you guys, especially if you're a Christian watching this video, I really encourage you to begin to be a continual blessing. And this is how the blessing will come upon you. And you don't give because you want God to bless you. You give because that is your desire. And that is what you love. You love to sing, you love to give to other people. You love to be a blessing to other people. So this must come from the heart. This is actually this must come from your heart. This must be something that comes out of love. Because you love to see other people happy. You would love to see someone actually having a meal. You love to see someone drinking clean water. Be a blessing in other people's lives out of love. So that's the word that I have for you today. It's very practical today, and I hope that you can begin to be a blessing in other people's life. And just head over to my blog. If you want to start to be your own financial accountant, head over to my blog, and I've set up a draft for you to follow today. And you can begin to be the accountant of your own finances. God bless you, and I love you so much. And I'll see you on Saturday. Bye.
Grab a copy of my latest book, Incorruptible Beauty, on Amazon, Kindle, and iBooks.